So today we're with Amanda, and she's from LA, and she's an actor, an artist, and a mom, and a wife, and she's my friend too, and she is going to talk to us about how to make some basic cocktails.
All right, hi everybody. Like Jill said, my name is Amanda. I live in Los Angeles. I'm a former Michigander, and I am an artist and actor in LA, but I also have been practicing the art of cocktail making ever since quarantine started. So today I'm going to show you 3 of my favorite cocktails. It's going to be a classic old-fashioned, French 75, and some delicious, refreshing summer sangria. So we'll get started. First, we're going to get going on the old-fashioned. So grab yourself a glass that fits some ice and a couple ounces of liquid. It doesn't have to be real big, and it doesn't have to be expensive, just whatever you have. All right, and I'm going to start with a sugar cube, but you can use simple syrup. If you don't have any of that, you can always make some. There's some recipes on Google, but it's basically just sugar and water. So you can also sprinkle in a little bit of sugar that you put in your coffee. Doesn't matter, as long as you have that little bit of sweetness there. So I'm going to do 2 dashes of these bitters. I believe it's pronounced Angostura, but don't quote me on that. All right, and you want to do it right on top of the sugar cube and get it nice and saturated. And hopefully you guys are writing this down. If not, grab a notepad. I'll try not to go too fast. Grab just a tiny bit of water, and I only like a teeny tiny bit to go over the sugar cube. It's just to help muddle it, but if you guys don't like the bourbon flavor as much, if it's too strong, you can put a little more water in there. But I'm just gonna crush it with this and muddle it around. Now, this is an actual muddler, but you can use like the back of a wooden spoon. It doesn't matter, just, again, whatever you have, use it. All right, so I use these giant ice cubes just because it doesn't dilute the drink quite as much, but any ice is fine. But these are really easy to make, really inexpensive to get the molds. You can get them on Amazon, and they just pop out of a silicone molding. Perfect for drinks. All right, so we have our sugar, our bitters, our water, and an ice cube. Next, you want to grab something that can measure in ounces. So it doesn't matter if it's a jigger like this, or if you just want to use a measuring cup that has ounces on it. That's okay, but we're going to do 2 ounces of bourbon. Now, if you buy one of these, typically the measurements are 2 ounces and 1 ounce. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that. And a lot of times people will say, oh, it depends, you know, what kind of bourbon do you like? Get the nicer kind. It really doesn't matter. I like the nice bourbon, but this is the cheap stuff. It doesn't really matter when it's mixed in with all these other flavors. You still get the bourbon flavor regardless. So lastly, as far as liquid goes, I'm going to add a little bit of Cointreau. Now, this has a really good, strong orange flavor, so you don't want a lot of it, but you can also substitute it with triple sec if you like your drinks a little bit sweeter. So I used to like it a little sweeter, but we're going to go with this now. And I'm just doing enough to cover the ice cube a little bit, give it that nice orange flavor. And you don't have to stir it. You can just kind of move it around a little bit. And we're going to add a cocktail cherry. And if you really like that sweetness, add a little bit of the juice. It's delicious. All right, so I'm going to take a fresh orange and just cut off a little bit of the peel. You don't want to go too far down into the pith. Just enough so you can get a nice little twist. All right, and roll it up. And you can even kind of rub some of the orange flavor around the rim. Stick it in there. And that is your classic old-fashioned. So again, we used a sugar cube. You can use simple syrup or regular sugar that you have laying around the house. Sugar cube, Angostura bitters, dash of water, a little bit of triple sec or Cointreau, 2 ounces of bourbon, big old ice cube, cocktail cherry, orange twist. So just to make sure this is right, I should taste test it. Now that is something that Don Draper would drink. All right, so we'll move on to the next drink. If you guys have any questions, again, like Jill said, you can come in at the end and I'll be answering any questions you might have. So next we're going to make a French 75. So that was a classic old-fashioned recipe. This is the somewhat classic French 75. I'm going to be using gin for this, but originally a brandy or a cognac was part of the drink. So you can also substitute it with that if you're not a big gin fan. I'm not a gin fan, but I really like it in this drink. So let's get started on that. You're going to need a cocktail shaker. Now, if you don't have one, that's okay. Just use a glass with ice, stir it really vigorously, gives the same effect. But this is just kind of a fancier effect. So I'm gonna fill that up with ice. Now, what I'm gonna be using is dry gin. This is Tanqueray. A little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of simple syrup. Again, if you want to make your own simple syrup, that's fine. I kind of like this little container because it comes with an easy pour spout. So you want to do 0.75 ounces of simple syrup, 0.75 of lemon juice. As long as they're equal parts, you can do a little bit more of one, a little bit less. Up to you. If you like it a little more sour, add a little more lemon juice. If you like it sweeter, go with the sugar. So I'm going to add that in. So it's just not quite up to the ounce mark. And if you are looking to buy a cocktail shaker, there's this really cool one that I use when I'm making multiple drinks, but it's a little bit bigger, and on the side, it has an adjustable thing. So you can do, let's see, there's an old-fashioned recipe, and it tells you everything, all the measurements and everything that needs to go in it. Martini, it shows you gin, vermouth, ice. Very simple and easy to follow and easy to sneak in a recipe that may seem a little fancier than what people expect. All right, so I've got my lemon juice and my simple syrup, and then I'm just going to do 2 ounces of the dry gin. Pour that in there, and now is the fun part. Besides the drinking part, that's also the fun part. Now, just until the outside is cold and your hands start to get a little too cold, that's when you know it's ready. I'm going to strain this into a champagne flute. This is not fancy. It's from the dollar store. If you don't have one laying around and you want to get a set, Dollar Tree. They have everything. All right, so I'm not quite down yet. I'm going to top it with 2 ounces of Prosecco. And I like to buy these little bottles when I'm mixing individual drinks. Then I can easily store it back in the fridge. It has a screw top on it. You can use champagne if that's what you have and that's what you want to use. Go for it. So I'm going to top that with the 2 ounces. All right, and then the drink is done, but just as a little bit of a garnish, we're going to add a little lemon twist. So in order to make a lemon twist, which I had to learn this because I couldn't get it right. Cut the lemon in half, and you want to slice into the skin part and then just very, very gently make sure it's nice and thin. Just go around the outside. And it doesn't have to be real big, but curl it up just like the orange and set it on the edge of the glass. And that is your French 75. So again, that is gin, or if you want to go a little more original, brandy or cognac. Gin, simple syrup, lemon juice. You can use freshly squeezed. This is just what's easier for me. And then you top it with a little Prosecco or champagne and a little lemon twist. Cheers. Perfect. All right. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to show you how to make a really delicious, refreshing summer sangria. I know some of you have been waiting for this, so I'm excited too. All right, start with a big pitcher. If it's smaller, that's fine, as long as it fits a little bit of fruit and an entire bottle of wine, that's fine. I actually had to get a bigger pitcher because the last one overflowed a little bit. But I went ahead and cut up 2 medium apples, 2 oranges, just little slices, mix it up, and I'm gonna put it in here as much as it allows. And bonus, if it doesn't all fit, you have a snack. All right. So with this recipe, it does take a little bit of time to sit overnight. Yeah, see how full that is? I might have to dump some of that out, but that's okay. I can snack up. All right. So if you let this sit overnight with all of the different juices and everything in there, it really soaks it up, soaks up the apple and orange flavor into the drink and soaks up the wine flavor into the fruit. All right, so I grabbed a bottle of brandy, and you just want to do a half a cup. It's not very much. It is if you're just drinking that. And I'm going to pour that in just kind of all over the fruit. Make sure it mixes in real nicely. And I'm going to put in a bottle of red wine. This is just a California red wine, preferably something that's sweeter, but really you can use any bottle. I'm sure just about all of you have a bottle of red wine sitting around somewhere. So put the whole thing in. This is Menage a Trois brand. It's got a nice sweetness to it. So I'm going to use that. Right, and just give it a little bit of a stir. Get all the flavors in there. And we'll just pretend that this sat overnight. It'll still be good. So again, just brandy, red wine, and then I'm going to pour it in a glass with ice and top it with a little sparkling water. All right. Let's do a little taste test. And as much of the seltzer as you want, up to you. And I don't like it sitting on top. I like to stir it in a little bit. Personal preference. All right. It's 95 degrees here today, and this is definitely the drink that I needed today. It's very refreshing. It's nice and ice cold. There is your summer sangria, and make sure you add a little bit of fruit to snack on at the end. So those are my 3 favorite summer drinks, quarantine cocktails.